Doing this regularly can add 20 to 25% to your mark. Have you ever wondered if there's one thing you can do that will dramatically increase your score and ability in math? It's graphing. When I say graphing, a lot of students, particularly those in grade 10, conjure up an idea that's not what I'm talking about. They'll usually explain it to me like this. They'll say, well, we've got some kind of a formula, y equals mx plus b, and there's a slope and there's an intercept. So let's say the formula is y equals 2x plus 3. So I take the 3 and I go on this y-axis line here and I find where it's 3 and I put a dot there. And then the 2 is the slope. So I'm gonna count, I'm gonna go, rise over run. So I'm gonna go up 2 and over 1. I'll put a dot there and I'll go back 2 and back 1 and down 2 and I'll put a dot there. And then once I got enough dots kind of lining up, then I'll draw a line through that, and that's how you graph. If you think that's what graphing is, that's not really. I mean, that is a way to draw that kind of graph, but that's not really what graphing is, and it's not the best way to graph. One of the things I often tell those students is, yeah, that's great and everything, and you'll be able to draw a line. But if you're ever asked to draw anything else that's not a line, that's not gonna work for you, because essentially what that is a shortcut. For most people, it's also a set of steps that does something, but they really don't know why. So if this is not graphing, then what is? What is graphing with a table of values. So I'm gonna take the same equation over here, but instead of following a set of weird prescripted actions that I'm supposed to do, instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick a bunch of random values for x. Now you can pick anything you want. I'm gonna pick numbers that are fairly small and close to 0 because those are the easiest to work with. So I'm gonna pick the numbers -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And what I've done is I've created a table here with x values in one column and y values in the other. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug them into the formula to generate the y values that go with them. So for -2, if the formula is y equals 2x plus 3, I'm gonna plug the -2 in for x. 2 times -2 plus 3, that's gonna be -4 plus 3, which is -1. And so I have the point 2, -1. Then I'm gonna plug in 1. 2 times -1 is -2 plus 3 is 1. And so on and so forth. I can find the y values for each of the x values I've chosen. That creates a set of points. And now that I know what those points are, I can draw them on the graph. -2, -1, right there. -1 and 1. 0 and 3. 1, 5, and I have the set of points that I can draw my line through. What's great about this is even if I have a different formula, one that's not a straight line, I can still do exactly the same thing. For example, let's say I asked that grade 10 student, I said, all right, now that you can graph this formula, why don't we try something else? Why don't we try y equals x cubed minus 2? If the student were to try and do something similar with a slope and an intercept, of course it wouldn't make any sense because this is not a straight line anymore. But with a table of values, it doesn't matter. I can still pick a bunch of different values, say -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, or any other ones, and plug them into the equation and get values to graph. -10, -3, -2, -1, and 6, and then I can draw my graph. -2, -10, well, it's somewhere way down there, -1, -3, 0, -2, 1, -1, and 2, 6. And then if I needed other values in between those ones, well, I could plug those into my table too and work them out. So why is this so great? Well, a couple reasons. First of all, I can do this with any graph at all. When you're in high school, one of the things that they teach you is how to graph a whole bunch of different things. These are the steps to graph a straight line. These are the steps to graph a quadratic. These are the steps to graph a rational function, a logarithmic function, an exponential function, a trigonometric function. After a while, you've got so many different methods and so many different formulas to remember. What if you forget one on a test? Well, good news, table of values comes to your help. Just plug in a bunch of x values, get the y values, and you can draw the thing out. It's not elegant or pretty, but it'll get you the marks on the test. But what's also interesting is when I was doing this work, when I was making this table of values, you know what I was doing? I was multiplying, I was dividing, I was doing mental math, I was doing algebra, I was doing all sorts of little skills that are the foundational skills that you need to do math quickly and effectively. So while I'm graphing, I'm also practicing many different areas of mathematics and ones that people are often weak at because they haven't spent a lot of time doing that. Also, as I'm doing this, I'm getting practical experience in drawing different functions, and I'm learning from experience the trends in those functions, how they behave. And math is all about patterns. So if while I'm graphing and practicing my basic math skills, I'm also learning about different trends and patterns in math, I'm simultaneously strengthening 3 or 4 or 5 different areas of math ability. For many students, particularly those who may not be doing as well in math, doing this regularly can add 20 to 25% to your mark. It's an amazing, holistic, comprehensive exercise for math ability. Even if you're doing well in math, this will still help you. And also check out my video on why students who are doing well in math and getting straight A's still need tutoring.